an addict doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to pick up a drink. He doesn't want to take a certain substance. Like, they don't want to do that, but they do that thing. And that's when I started to realize, like, this addiction is a serious thing.
Yeah, I think that makes so much sense. I feel for all of us, if you haven't seen someone with an addiction close up, you actually don't realize how deeply conditioned and wired it is for that person. And it's so easy from afar. As you move closer to someone who has an addiction, you recognize it's actually them acting against their own will. It can be really something that just pulls them towards it, even when I really appreciate you being so honest about it, because I think when you're new to it, when you don't have an experience of it, that is how we process it. How did you start to notice it? When was it that you started to notice that this wasn't something that just goes away or that he can stop?
Is, that this is something he did not choose, something that he does not want to choose. When he would, like I said prior, we would have the best day. We would have such a great day. And then later on that night, it was just relationship balance was definitely a huge key. I really tried to do what I could to help him and better him and distract his mind. For me, I'm really not a homebody at all. And Liam was a homebody. And that's okay. But for me, I didn't want to be at home from the minute I wake up to the minute I go to sleep. And one thing I remember closer to the beginning of our relationship, to drive and learn how to drive on the other side of the road in England, as you know. And I remember saying to him, I was like, you have a car. Why don't we just go out and grab a coffee? Like, why do we have a cup of coffee, go on a Starbucks drive-thru, sit on the drive-thru? I know it's something so small, but it makes my day feel 10 times more productive. Just getting out of bed rather than sitting in your bed and waiting for a coffee to show up right at your doorstep. So for me, I think balance was a huge key factor in like that. That's like him trying to keep me at home 24/7. I wouldn't have liked that. So I think a balance was great. Some nights we would go out to a nice dinner. I'm going to save the day through their better days, their worst days, always. But you can't cure somebody. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize.
Absolutely. And it's a lot to try, even beyond this situation. I think it's so hard. And I'm empathizing with so many people who are probably listening and watching to this right now, who are trying to support a partner through something like this, or a friend or a family member. And it can be really hard on you because you take on this responsibility, you take on this role, and every day it changes, right? It's not
exactly. You couldn't have worded it better. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
shifting every single day. And it's very challenging for both people because the person who's suffering doesn't want to put that on the other person. And the person who's trying to help, one-way thing.
Yeah, it's not.
It's both sides. I've seen people through addiction and having mental health disorders that are just feeling so bad for their caretaker or their...
Not forget to care about yourself. And that's one thing I think I at times was kind of forgetting to do, or, a lot of people could probably relate to that if they're in a similar situation. And you have to be able to care and better yourself as well. You can't just let yourself...
What's happening for him?
It was more so positive than it was negative. I think he made, like you said before, a lot of, he would take 5 steps forwards and then 3 steps backwards. It would be kind of one of those things. He could better himself at times, but it's just that flip, that switch that just flips, where you wake up one morning and it's almost like he doesn't have a choice, but he feels a certain type of way.
So, Kate, I want to talk about how you found out on the day that we sadly lost Liam, and what happened that day. Where were you and how did you find out?
I was in Florida and I was in the house alone with our dog, Nala, and I remember just being on the couch. I feel like that whole day was kind of a blur for me. Well, not the day, but that moment in time. He fell from a balcony. And I said, what? That must be a rumor. I was like, that's not true at all. Like, there's no way this isn't true. And when his friend first called me too, he didn't mention, and he fell off a balcony and he broke a rib. Like, he's okay. So I'm making all these phone calls and nobody's answering the calls. And eventually I call the friend, is that Liam's dead. And point, my phone was getting blown up. So this news, whether it be this rumor that wasn't true because I didn't have confirmation yet, or this true news that I just found out 2 minutes ago. My phone was completely getting blown up by my friends, my family, people that I haven't spoken to in years. It's something that I never would have thought would have happened. And I'm sitting in my house.